Yeah. We'll see if it goes. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So we can start?
Yep.
In a minute.
Okay. I would like to welcome everybody to the Administration Finance Fire Committee meeting number 4 for 2017. I will now call this meeting to order. There's some sign-in sheets on the table to your left. You read them, and if you'd like to sign the appropriate sheet. Okay. Okay, to members of the public, council all cell phones, pagers, and/or PDAs to be turned off. Additionally, for your information, we are audio, video, the recording of this meeting. I'll be the chair tonight. My name is Terry Bell. Are there any changes in the order of items on the agenda? Mayor Joyner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just ask if we could move the confidential portion of tonight's Administration Finance meeting to the end of the Public Works Recreation Committee meeting. Therefore, staff can go home, and there'll be a little bit of continuity for people in the gallery too as well.
All agree? Done. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointments. We have 2 tonight. Procedural bylaws, section 6.5, scheduled appointments and/or presentations. Each of scheduled appointments or presentations shall be allotted a maximum of 10 minutes. Exclusive time required to answer questions from members of councils. Some exceptions may apply. Item A4317, Brenda Pickvance, will you please come forward, state your name.
Brenda Pickvance. Good evening, everyone. So I'm here to talk about necessities versus amenities. At the last Public Works Rec meeting, it was unfortunate that the children of the rural areas were not represented. So I thought tonight we'd just do a bit of a slice of life on a mud road. Starting with the new baby. Pretty common for moms to take the baby out in the stroller. Not exactly a smooth ride on a mud road with potholes, the random smattering of gravel, pretty bumpy. Then think of the dust if another vehicle passes by. Not very healthy for developing lungs. That played out just last week on my road. My neighbor, who is a new grandma, daughter visiting from out west, there's grandma trying to wheel the stroller down the road, bumpity, bumpity, bump. I saw her out once, and the next day, the grader was out on the road, therefore making it totally not travelable with a stroller and a newborn baby. Next up with the kids comes the little pedal toys or the wagons. Not something a little one can do on a road in those conditions. The first bike with training wheels. Again, pretty impossible. We had a dad up our road who had to pave a very long stretch of driveway just so he could teach his kids how to ride a bike. Then there's the 10 speeds, pretty narrow tires, pretty tough on a road like that. Let's fast forward to seniors. The goal today is to ensure that seniors can stay in their homes. How would you be able to walk on a road like that with the assistance of a walker? What about a scooter or an electric bike? Again, pretty impossible. What about a serious disability? And I know there's a little girl that lives on Abington Road. Again, a tarred and chipped road, but she's in a wheelchair. So what happens to someone on our road if they're all of a sudden put in a wheelchair? Be it temporary, be it long-term. Do I have to move? I can make my house wheelchair accessible, but I can't make a road like that wheelchair accessible. I've heard a lot about how the children in town need a new arena or something to do after school. Well, what about the kids that live on a road like this? Their parents work too. They cannot even have access to the most basic forms of exercise. Am I to assume that a child, a disabled person, or a senior has less value if they live in a rural community? The rural areas are no longer just farm lanes, but pretty much classed as rural residential. If we have progressed to high-speed internet coming to the rural areas, we darn well need to progress to high-speed tar and chip first. The time has come. This issue cannot be ignored. Mayor Joyner, I'm going to be calling on you to start a discussion with the region. There was an opening there a couple of months back at a council meeting where Chair Caslin was in attendance, and I believe Councillor Rayner opened that door about saying that we need some regional help here to get some funds available. It's time to start a discussion with every Ontario government sector around rural infrastructure, rural affairs, and I brought this article tonight dated February 9th, where Mayor Joyner attended the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association. The focus, according to the newspaper, was getting infrastructure to accommodate growth in town. Shouldn't we first be focusing on getting infrastructure for the existing residents? It would be so easy to do a reenactment of life for children, seniors, a person with disability. That could take place right on my road. That's the beauty of social media. It can be done. I can no longer stand down on this appalling situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. If you could leave a copy of your presentation,
Yes, I'll have
please.
one to Carolyn tomorrow. Thank you.
Any questions, comments? Excuse me. Next on the agenda is item A4417. Mrs. Trombetta, you come up. State your name, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of committee. My name is Katie Trombetta. I live at 134 Anastasia Boulevard. I moved into town about 2 years ago. I lived in Caistor for 33 years, so I'm a long-standing member of this community. The reason I come before you this evening, and I appreciate committee giving me this opportunity to speak, is basically to speak on the MERS issue. I have attended all of the meetings, or at least the majority of the meetings of the MERS. I have been in this gallery when the whole gallery was full of people in favor. And I've also been in this gallery where a lot of people were against it. I sat quietly, wanted to listen to both sides. I have to congratulate Council on the MERS project. Whether I agree with it or not, the amount of funding that is required for that is irrelevant. What I do agree is that Council had made a very hard decision. You made a decision based on the best interest of the township of West Lincoln, not a select few and not for certain groups. You looked at the whole picture, the whole township, and I congratulate you for that. There was a lot of discussion here in regards to how did we come from 14 million to 23 million. And again, I sat in this gallery with a lot of people, the naysayers and the yay-sayers. It originally started at $14 million for just an arena, to my understanding, with a splash pad and a skate park. Well, that's only looking at a select few and specialty groups. Council decided, well, let's look at a bigger picture and what we can accommodate for the majority of the residents. Hence, that's why the $23 million came in. It is to accommodate a large facility, yes. Is it a lot of money? Yes, it is. But the community is also growing, and it has DC chargers, which are coming in, which we didn't have at the extent that we have today. Staff, in my opinion, did a great job in presenting what needed to be presented to members of council. Although I do find a little bit disappointing that some members of committee and council, and this is only my opinion, had to deflect blame to staff. For whatever reason, they only know. But in my opinion, sitting here, and I've listened carefully to everyone's comments and to staff's. And to blame staff, in my opinion, was uncalled for. Again, that is my opinion, Mr. Chair. And as I said, it's easy to blame someone when we're trying to deflect from ourselves. There was a discussion here also in regards to the MERS project, which we call it today, but it was called a multifunctional facility in 1996. And I can attest to that because I was there. This concept is not something new for this municipality. This started in 1996. Hence, we purchased the Leisureplex lands because the vision was there to have a multifunctional facility on those lands. The unfortunate thing about it is that we were unable to proceed with that, A, because we weren't permitted by the province because we did not have water and sewer, municipal water and sewer. Hence, we went after an urban boundary expansion, which we worked extremely hard for 3 years to get it through. We had regional approval, and we were going to the province. I was going to the province on a weekly basis, and we almost had it. But as things go, we live in a democratic society. Elections came and then went to the wayside. We could have done it, but it would have cost the municipality $6 million, $3 to $6 million to bring water and sewer to those lands. The reason we went for the urban boundary expansion is we felt that it was best served if the developers developed those lands and we could tap in to those services as opposed to putting it on the taxpayer to bring those services there. There was a lot of discussion here. Oh, and also in 1996 is when there was a comment made that, well, if we had started that in 1996, we could have had it paid by now. Absolutely. But we didn't have the population that we do today. We don't have the DCs that we have today. We couldn't have those types of fundings. So we were not going to put the municipality in such a debt without any relief from those particular funds that you are receiving today, where the DCs are, and also money from the wind turbines. So there's the difference there, why we didn't do it. And again, this is not an inception that is something new. This was in 1996, just like the strategic plan. The strategic plan was first introduced to this municipality in 2001. And because of that strategic plan, we worked very closely with the region, and the region from 2000 to 2006 contributed over $33 million within this municipality. All the records are there. All someone has to do is look at them. It was also discussed here about taxpayers' money. This is taxpayers' money and how much it's going to cost in order to have this individual to fundraise. Absolutely. Everything that you do is taxpayers' money. Doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's a raise for yourselves, with all due respect, whether it's benefit packages for yourselves, with all due respect, again, everything we do, you do, is with taxpayers' money. And again, whether you get the money from the province, whether you get the money from the federal government, it's still the taxpayers' money. We're just trying to chip into those areas for them to pay us back. So again, I just wanted to, again, I'm here before you this evening to congratulate council for making that decision, for making a decision based on what's in the best interest of this municipality in the long run, and not make a decision based on the next election. That is not why council sits here. You can't make a decision based on that, and that is my opinion. So, Mr. Mayor, unfortunately, this is where your job starts. This is where the mayor steps in and goes after money from the federal and the provincial governments to ease the burden on his or her taxpayers. This is where it starts. We've already started the ball rolling. I'm quite sure it's easy to go to the province, and it's easier to go to the federal government saying that this is our project, this is what it's going to cost, we need your help. And you have to make them listen. You just have to knock at doors and know the right doors to do it. Staff can't do it for the mayor. Council, with the resolution, cannot do it for the mayor. The mayor has to take that on their own, whether it's a he or she, Mr. Mayor. So again, I'd like to congratulate staff for a job well done. This municipality has great staff. All you have to do is tap into it. They're knowledgeable. They're a wealth of information. And with all due respect to all members of council and committee here, they have more information than any one of you sitting there. You need to tap into that resource, because it is a great resource. In closing, Mr. Chair, thank you very much for giving me that opportunity to speak this evening. Thank you very much. And in closing, Mr. Carter, you will be sadly missed. But congratulations on your, I would call it a promotion. Some people may not, but I do. And hopefully you will remember the Township of West Lincoln in advancing the Township of West Lincoln further with the region. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Could you leave a copy of your presentation with the clerk, please?
I would love to do that, but I never write things down. Miss Carolyn Langley does know that. Okay. I always speak from the cuff.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, request, is there anyone in the attendance that would like to address any items on the agenda tonight? Okay, seeing none. Fire Department update. Item A45-17. Fire Chief Dennis Fisher. Fire Department monthly update, March and April. Would you like to go ahead?
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, for both March and April. March fire calls, Station 1 had 21, Station 2 had 5, and Pelham had 2. For the month of April, Station 1 had 16, Station 2 had 3, and Pelham had 3. Going through some notable notes under our recruitment, we had hired 4. 3 had are doing very well. Bill Chadwick ended up having some personal issues with his family, and I sat with him and went over his training requirements as a new recruit, and unfortunately he couldn't meet them. So we both decided it was in his best interest and the interest of the fire service to let him go. So he stepped down as a new recruit. Promotional wise, the lieutenants for training and mechanical have been completed. I will be completing interviews by the end of the week. So those promotions will be done next Wednesday night. Training is as is on my report. Fire prevention, Eric is working on the Emergency Services Public Work Open House, which is May the 24th. That's coming up. Apparatus fleet, we do have some issues with West Lincoln Tanker 2. It's leaking out of the 10-inch dump valve, so it will be out of service for probably 2 or 3 days for that to get repaired. Couple of things over the fire department activities. Station 2's renos are going well. Electrical's done and inspected. They're working on all the plumbing, the showers and the sinks and the drywall, so that's going well. Again, just to remind members of committee and council that the open house for the emergency services at May 24th at 10 to 1. We did take delivery a couple of weeks early on our new SCBA, which is good. It gives us a chance to start training on it a little sooner than expected. So we have completed that delivery. And one of the things that came up in the fire master plan was to find a way to have firefighters knowing who's coming and who's not coming. That was in the works prior to you guys receiving the fire master plan. So as of April of this last month, we started with I Am Responding, which is a phone app, which the firefighters get similar to their pagers. It goes through dispatch, it goes to their phone. The phone app, then they have the availability to push a button that says either they're coming or they're not. They could be late, whatever. We have a screen in the fire hall right now, so the officers, when they can come in, they can have a look at the screen and go, okay, I got 6 or 8 guys coming, or I don't have anybody coming, so they don't have to waste time waiting. Station 2 will be benefit a little bit more from it because the guys that go to the halls to pick up the trucks, they can see who's going to the scene and who's coming to the hall. So they can look at the screen and go, okay, I got 8 guys going to the scene. I don't need to sit here and wait for them. So it works out really, it's working out really well. So it is a good piece of resource for us and the fire guys. So other than that, that's about it for the last 2 months.
Thank you, Chief Fisher. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, thank you. We'll move on to item 7, consent agenda. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial and will be approved in one resolution. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless council member requests it, in which case the item will be removed and consent resolution and considered immediately following the option remain in the consent agenda items. Item A46-17, Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee, March 9th, 2017 and April 13th, 2017. Item 2, West Lincoln's Mayor Youth Advisory Committee, March 1st, 2017 and April 5th, 2017 minutes. And 3, recommendation report RFD-T-10-17, Development Charges Reserve Fund Treasurer's Annual Statement for 2016. Recommendations, the Administration Finance Fire Committee hereby approve the following consent agenda items. 1, Item 1, be and is hereby accepted, and 2, Item 2, be and is hereby received for information, and Item 3, be and is hereby received, and that the recommendations contained therein adapted, with the exceptions of items 3. Item 3. Okay. Any comments or questions? Oh, sorry, need a mover and a seconder, apologize. Councilor Chichek, seconder. Councilor Cadad. Okay. All those in favor? Passed. Okay. Okay, I need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Chichek and Councilor Cadad. And item 3, Councilor Chichak.
Whoa, I just got to try my fancy new button here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the treasurer, thank you very much for this report. I think it shows the state of where we sit with our development charges at this moment. My question, Madam Treasurer, is we expected to start the background study and work for opening the DCs this year. Is there a time frame on that?
Through you, Chairman Bell, to Councillor Chichak. Currently, we're looking at the 10-year capital plans. Directors are looking at them to make sure that we also include growth projects, because when we do our budget, we're usually looking at replacement. So we want to make sure we have all our growth projects included. We're also we're looking at the region, because they're also updating their development charge, and that should be passed soon, because it's important to look at what they're doing to make sure that there's certain things in there we want to either be online with them. One of them is that they're looking at an anniversary date of January 1st. Right now, our anniversary date is September, so every September the rates change. And we're consistent with that. So things like that, if the region's changing it to January, that might be something we want to do. It makes it a lot easier when people come in and pay their development charges, if it's always the same anniversary date.
For indexing?
Yes, for indexing. Because when people pay, they come here and they pay the region's charges and the local charges. So we're looking at the background study would probably be ready in the fall. Yeah.
For implementation, through you, Mr. Chair, to the treasurer, for implementation by January 1, is that it?
If
Hopefully.
possibly sooner. I mean, it's all up to council and, you know,
Yes.
the background study, if it's sufficient, if there's other work that needs to be done.
And the discussion with the developers
Yes.
on acceptability and challenge avoidance.
Yes, and the last time we did the background study, the view the consultant does is they meet quite early with the developers just to get a feel of what they feel, like what they're thinking. So yeah, so we're right now it's at the capital stage, looking at all the projects.
Thank you very much.
Okay with that?
Yes, for now, Mr. Chair, yes, that was the answer I was looking for.
All those in favor? Passed. Okay. Item 8, communications. Just 1 second here. Excuse me. Item A47-17, Peninsula West Power Inc. Notice of annual general meeting of shareholders, May 31st, 2017, 6:30 p.m. And yeah, we'll come and do it. Okay.
Through you to Mayor Joyner, is that meeting still on? I know you may have a conflict, and David Augustine may also have a conflict, and I sent a message to Brian Walker about 3-4 days ago, and he has not responded. I'm just wondering if you've heard anything.
Through you, Mr. Chair, through to the councillor. Yes, the meeting is still on. The documents will be signed ahead of time by Councillor Augustine and myself, as we are going to the FCM conference in Ottawa. But the actual meeting in AGM, I believe it's an AGM, will still be happening on that date.
Still have, through you, we still have enough for quorum then?
I believe so.
Okay, because I haven't heard. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, what I can do is I can ask Mr. Walker to send an email back to Councillor Rayner to let him know what's happening on this date.
Any good with that, Mr. Rainey? Councilor Rainey?
That'll be fine, thank you.
Okay. If you could do that, Mayor Joyner, that'd be good.
I don't
Any
think
other?
that's
Seeing none. Moving on to item B, item A48-17. Mayor Douglas Joyner, April 28, 2017, letter from the Integrity Commissioner, Susan Craig, regarding the MERS project, and it's for information. Any questions, comments? Mayor Joyner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you'll indulge me just for a second here. Members of council, I would ask you to refer to the Integrity Commissioner's letter of April 28th. The letter is on page 25 in your administration agenda. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I have asked for the Integrity Commissioner's letter to be added to tonight's administration meeting because I feel that it is prudent that a West Lincoln council member be given the opportunity to clear up some damaging information that has appeared in our local newspapers. Members of council, I have asked for the Integrity Commissioner's letter to be added to tonight's agenda and read into the record tonight so that Councillor Rayner have the chance to clarify and apologize for his open-ended statement on April 24th. I'll move on to say that in paragraph 3 of Ms. Suzanne Craig's letter, it states, as the Integrity Commissioner, I have no authority to receive or investigate any matters with respect to actions, omissions, or decisions of the administration. Nor does she have, Ms. Craig, the authority to comment on investigate policy, procedure, finance, or political decisions of council as a whole. In paragraph 7, our West Lincoln Integrity Commissioner states, at no time did I investigate any decision by the Township of West Lincoln administration or any decision of Township Council in respect of the MERS project. What I believe needs to happen here tonight, I believe the West Lincoln Council needs clarification tonight from a member of West Lincoln Council, namely Councillor Rayner. And I guess my ultimate question to Councillor Rayner would be, why did the councillor mislead the public to believe that the Integrity Commissioner was in fact actively investigating the MERS project? And secondly, perhaps the councillor could explain why and how the Integrity Commissioner has serious concerns about the RFP process to date. And thirdly, why is the councillor's opinion at this time that the process for approving this RFP has been greatly altered in order to ensure its success, as it's mentioned in paragraph 10? Councillor Rayner, in fact, you go on to mention in your letter in paragraph number 9, what upset me and made my decision to go against the RFP proposal was in fact that the option B appears to have been withdrawn by staff without the consent or will of council. This is not true, Councillor. In the last paragraph of your open-ended letter, Councillor Rayner, your letter states, it is therefore now my recommendation that a referral be presented to council authorizing the mayor to hold a special in-camera meeting of council at its earliest convenience with legal representation present in order to resolve what I consider, and this is to be underlined, a serious breach of procedure, and to obtain clarification from staff on why council no longer has option B available. Please allow me to clarify, Councillor Rayner. At no time has option B ever been taken off the table. It has always been available, and the township staff tendered an RFP for the MERS project based on council's direction, duly moved and seconded. Let me also be perfectly clear that at no point has option B ever come off the table. Council instructed staff to tender the RFP with provisional items, which could have been deleted throughout the process. In closing, Councillor Rayner, I believe that you confused the public by your statements because you insinuated that West Lincoln staff did something wrong. Now, at this time, Councillor Rayner, will you please apologize now that you have had a chance to read the Integrity Commissioner's response, yes or no?
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. Councillor Rayner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, the mayor has had sufficient time to prepare and read what he has documented. I have not. However, I will clarify the situation, hopefully. I did get the stick sent to me, even though I do not get email, and they know that with regards to the CAO's situation, his resignation, but they sent me the stick. Prior to that, on this particular issue, I contacted the Integrity Commissioner with regards to this, and we reviewed it again. And basically, the comments that she said to me and I said to her was that the letter that I read in public was reviewed by the Integrity Commissioner. In fact, some of it was even changed to make it sure that it was correct. The other thing was, she suggested, upon reviewing the videos from February the 27th to April the 14th, I believe it was, or 18th, that there was inconsistency, that there was something missing with regards to the February 27th that stated clearly when I asked the CAO, there are three options: to accept the RFP, to change and accept the RFP, or to turn the RFP down. And he said that was correct. The meeting we had in April, it was basically said, you have two choices now. You accept the RFP, or if you want to do a lot of changes, you're going to have to start all over again. That was not expressed in February 27th. There was a change. The Integrity Commissioner also noted that something was missing. Something happened between February and April. She could only suggest, she can't direct and control, nor does she want to partake in this. All she's saying is, there was something in there that was wrong, there was something in there that wasn't right, there was something in there that's missing. I suggest you do one of the two following things, and it was her suggestion. Contact the town clerk and find out if that particular option B was removed. And if it was removed, when was it removed? Either when the cameras were on in public, or was it done, a motion done somehow in confidential, or whatever the case may be. If you cannot find the answer from that, then I would strongly suggest you seek legal advice to find out what happened, because there is an inconsistency between what was agreed upon and said in February and what happened in April. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't change my mind on this situation. I have also had the Integrity Commissioner say the same thing, and I said to her, I said, if there was consistency from February to April, you would not have told me or suggested to me that I should contact the town clerk or seek legal advice, because there's nothing there to do it with. She said that is correct. There is something here that's missing. I suggest you do those two things. That was her words. The letter I written was approved by her, and what I've seen and what I've said, Mr. Mayor, has not changed. I don't know what you expect me to change or what you expect me to do. The video clearly states what I asked in February 27th, and clearly in April, it's something different. Had this process have gone through and we had option B, I would have had no problem had the democratic process of this council decided that they wanted to do the whole MERS project complete. My impression and my thoughts on this whole thing, and I have been supportive from the beginning until April, was that if we can't afford the total, we would at least have the option of phasing in which ones we wanted, in order to ensure that we would, number one, I wanted to get the arena for sure. I went on the tour on April the 6th, 2015, with a number of members of council, including the mayor. I absolutely loved the Cayuga Arena. I was hoping we could get that. I was hoping we could get a splash pad. But if we could do that without any tax increase, defer the rest of the projects for a couple years later, and do some of the important things out in the country, because this is a rural community. The Township of West Lincoln heritage is agriculture. We cannot forget about the people in the country. So let's spend some money, do some roads out in the country, do a bridge that we're waiting on week after week, month after month to find out if it's going to close or not. Let's do some things out in the country. At the same thing, let's do the arena and the splash pad in town, and let's phase in the other, hopefully with grants and more DC, so down the road we can get the whole project completed, but we haven't shut out and we haven't forgotten the people in the country. So, as far as I'm concerned right now, everything that I have said before, Mr. Mayor, is exactly the same. I have contacted the Integrity Commissioner. She assures me that that's why she suggested that I contact the town clerk and or the legal department, because there was something she noticed that also didn't add up. So it wasn't just my perception. That's why I called the Integrity Commissioner. I did not call the Integrity Commissioner to try to get the people in the township in trouble. I wasn't sure if I read this right. I wasn't sure if I missed something. I wasn't sure if something got lost somewhere, and I don't want to make a fool of myself finding out that afterwards that there was something there that I didn't see. I wanted a professional individual who I could trust, was hired by the township, and was respectable. And I figured the best person for me to call, with no disrespect to any members of council or staff, was to contact the Integrity Commissioner and ask her, am I crazy? Did I miss something? I don't think I did, but if I did, then I'm wrong, and I'd rather do it now than try to make it to the public. She said, no, there is definitely something missing. Here's how you go about it. So this is how it happened. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm not being disrespectful to members of council. I'm not being disrespectful to you. I represented the people in this township who elected me in the rurals. I was trying to help the urban and the rural, and I was also trying to figure out what happened between February and April that doesn't add up. It still doesn't add up to me. Option B may still be on the table as far as you're concerned, but as far as the CAO said, the option is you could change a tiny little bit, but if you change more than a tiny little bit, you're going to have to start from scratch. Well, had that have been said in February, then I would have had a clear picture. But when I said clearly, change the RFP and approve it, he said yes. So as far as I'm concerned, that meant phasing in. If I picked the arena, if I didn't want to put the gym in, if I didn't want to put the library, if we wanted to make the skate park in another couple of years, those options were still available to me, and we could have done it that night without redoing the RFP. That's what I thought it was. To this day, I still think that's what it was. But when we came to April, all of a sudden, it wasn't. And that's where I got confused, that's where I got frustrated, and that's when I sought other people's professional help to make sure I wasn't making a mistake. And as far as they're concerned, I did not make a mistake. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rainey. Question? Obviously, okay, I've got Councilor Billsman.
Thank you very much. I guess I just want to, because this has just somewhat been opened, also just address something that's been batted around a couple times, and that's this idea of that somehow the councillors and the members in this room, the staff, the councillors, the chair, are responsible for the things that get printed in the paper. And we, audio, video...
Councilor Billsman, can we just keep this to
the
question that was asked?
Well, it was raised. It was raised by the mayor in his. So it was raised about comments that made it to the paper that somehow Councilor Rayner's for, and I just want to address that issue solely, and that is quite simply that we are not responsible for, as councillors, for the misrepresentations that may happen by members of the gallery or the media that are present. Our meetings are videotaped.
I don't believe that was the question that was asked.
Well, it was mentioned in the mayor's opening comments with regards to the section. So I just wanted to speak to that. When we speak clearly, as clearly as we can, it's videotaped, and at that point it becomes a matter of public record. Yes. We stand by those comments. If they're misrepresented by papers or by constituents, as well-meaning as both parties may or may not be, they are not necessarily our responsibility. So we should never, in that sense, be asked or called on the carpet for a comment that the media might make that might be misrepresented or even a member of the constituency. So I just wanted to say that.
I don't believe that was the thing. Okay, you know it's not. I know it's not. What was in question was there misrepresentation from the suggestions that were being made, not by the news.
The apology.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just cut off.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? We'll call it. Okay. Mayor Jordan.
Mr. Chair, for a second, Chair. Mr. Chair, I just want to say one last time that in her letter, Ms. Suzanne Craig, our Integrity Commissioner for the Township of West Lincoln, did not say that there is definitely something missing. Nowhere in that letter did it make reference to that. And in fact, it states in the last paragraph, I state for your consideration that at no time have I been asked by the Township of West Lincoln or by any member of council to review or investigate my actions, omissions, or decisions of the administration of the council. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Jordan. Your question's been answered by Councilor Rayner, and everybody's had a say, so we'll move on. We'll move on to item 9, staff reports, amendment to budget. Item A49-17, Treasurer Director of Finance, recommendation report, RF D-T-11-17, April 2017 budget status report, amendment to budget. Recommendation that report RFD-T-11-17 regarding the April 2017 budget status report amendments to budget be received for information, and that council approve an amendment to budget to increase the budget for the Northwest Smithville Secondary Plan Project from $45,000 to $70,000. The project will be funded through the development charges of $35,000 and Niagara Region funding of $35,000. I need a mover and a seconder. Mayor Joyner and Councilor Chichak. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Excuse me. You've heard the recommendations. All those in favor? Passed. B, item A50-17, Treasury Director of Finance, a recommendation report, RFD T-09-17, 2017 tax rate bylaw. Recommendation that the report RFD T-09-17 dated May 15th, 2017 regarding the 2017 tax rate bylaw be received, and that the 2017 tax rates attached on Schedule A to this report be approved, and that bylaw be presented to council at the May 23rd, 2017 council meeting to adapt the estimates and to set rates for the taxation year of 2017. I need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Trombetta, Councilor Gadan. Any questions or comments? Councilor Chichak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to our treasurer. I know there were some issues with some of the classes of, this is nothing, my question through you, Mr. Chair, to the treasurer has nothing to do with MPAC. My question merely is a question of the implications that are being suffered across all regions and all municipalities with regard to depreciable assets, and that's the industrial and the commercial or various other sectors. Is that still an issue in Niagara, or has there been mitigation measures taking place so that the shift from those classes to residential or other classes isn't as acute this year?
Through you, Chairman Bell, to Councillor Chichak. I can give you an overview of some of the changes that were made at the regional level as the upper tier government. In terms of the vacant land, you'll remember earlier in the year there was a report that was initiated by the City of St. Catharines looking at changing the ratio for vacant land from a 35% discount to a 30% discount. That has been reflected in the new bylaw set by the region, and all the lower tier adopt that. So what that means is that the industrial, vacant and excess land will pay a slightly higher level of tax. That is mitigated by the fact that with the reassessment, the industrial and commercial properties did not see a large increase like the residential properties did. The other change that has been made is the multi-residential properties. In the past, they've always been rated higher than a residential. The ratio used to be, I believe, 2.044 or 2.44. It is now down to 2. The reason for that is they want to encourage more multi-residential. Right. What is happening in a lot of the areas, especially St. Catharines, is a lot of the rental units are being turned into condominiums, which means it's a residential rate as opposed to the multi-residential rate. So there's been a loss in tax revenue in some of the larger urban areas. Another thing that is new that actually the Ministry of Finance announced is that there's going to be a new class called new multi-residential, which does not impact our township yet. But what that's going to do is any new multi-residential that meet a certain criteria will actually be at the residential rate. And again, they are trying to encourage rental units being built because it's hard for people to buy houses right now. So that's the major changes that were made. in summary.
And thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. That's exactly what I was going through is that MPAC and the province are trying to reduce taxes and stabilize them because multi-res is twice to 2.5 times, depending on where you live, the amount. So that impact to renters who can't afford to buy is also a step that they have to, it's a burden they have to bear. If I could just get one more point of clarity, and I thank you for all of that. Because industrial and commercial have an impact, well, industrial mostly, have the impact of depreciability to the building. I know it's a long window. I'm not saying it happens overnight. But the point is that overall, even though there's a reduction in the discount, which means that that's kind of like an instigator, a rusty nail, a bit of a rusty nail to get your empty building rented, but some of these buildings are so old, like in some parts of the region, the retrofit would be more than building new. Is there the overall depreciated value of those assets is going to hit us over and over again as we go through the years? Is that correct? I mean, it's a fundamental issue that we're going to have to look to in the longer term.
Through you, Chairman Bell, to Councillor Chichak. Yes, like the commercial and industrial reassessments, they did not go up as high as the residential. Residential, right. It's almost 5%. Something that the province has introduced that I know the region and the lower tier municipalities will also be investigating is eliminating the vacant unit rebate. So right now that's a rebate that is eligible for industrial or commercial properties if they have empty space, if they're not using it. We're looking at that could be a mitigating something that would help. We call that tax write-offs when we give those rebates. And a lot of municipalities are looking at eliminating it, a lot of them through phase out. So it wouldn't be an immediate elimination. Just to put it in context for council, for our township, it's not a significant amount of tax write-off, perhaps annually 20, 30,000. So it's not a huge amount of money, but for the larger municipalities, it would be a large amount, and also for the region. So of course, if the region can save money at their level, it's a benefit to all the lower tier municipalities as well.
Thank you. So new buildings, industrial buildings, go through an assessment based on their actual built cost, the as-built costs that they accumulate. So they even though a 10,000 square foot building that is 10 years old versus a 10,000 square foot building that's brand new, there will be substantial tax differences between those buildings. Am I correct?
Yes, through you, Chairman Bell, to Councillor Chichak, definitely. Similar to homes as well, right. In some cases.
Right, yeah. Until they start turning over and selling. So I guess my point is that if we had empty buildings around, it would be now that we should start seeing people trying to fill those industrial or commercial buildings because they actually are advantaged by the fact that their taxes should be starting to be a little bit lower than new ones. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor?
Did we have a mover and a second?
Sorry?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Passed. Okay, other business. Item A51-17, CAO Chris Carter, and at this time I'll turn it over to Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to members of council, I would just like to recognize these two staff members. Again, part of the team, you keep seeing this almost monthly, that staff is going out and getting education, getting more trained, becoming better professionals so that we can obviously serve the public in a better capacity as well. I believe Mrs. Trombetta stole some of my thunder when I said we really do have an excellent team here, and we really do have a great vision moving forward, especially with some of the mentoring programs and succession planning that we have currently in place with the corporation. Sometimes when you get so good, there's that whole retention thing that you have to be concerned about, but I believe every staff member here is willing to stay and participate in West Lincoln. But again, kudos to these staff members and to the department heads that are encouraging staff to become better professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yale. Next is item A52-17, members of committee, verbal updates from members of boards, committees, if required. Anybody? Councilor Bilsma.
I just wanted to state that last Thursday I attended the multi-municipal action group, wind action group up in Chesley. It's a takes about 3.5 hours to get up there. It's a 2-hour meeting usually. It's about 3 hours to get home. It was 3.5 because my wife was driving, but at least I got to sleep. It's a relatively new participation from this council. Councillor Chichok and I attended the one just before Easter weekend, Easter long weekend, and then I just wanted to say that they are very, very informative. It's nice working with councillors from other municipalities who have the same types of concerns that we do. Some of these councils were at one time supportive in the early years, and a lot of them are changing their tunes, and I found that to be quite eye-opening. It's also good to be part of a group that has a larger clout than perhaps with, because by ourselves, united we stand, divided we tend to get ignored. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that, and the next one is in June 11th. And Councillor Chichok will be taking that one because I will be in Alberta. So she can do the 3.5-hour drive.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Chichok.
Bilsma kind of took my thunder, but I do understand why they have alternates on that committee. It is a 3.5-hour drive, no matter where you drive from, Toronto, West Lincoln, or whatever. And yes, I couldn't make this past one, and so he did the drive for us. And I'm getting the same co-pilot as he's got. I'm going to ask his wife if she'll come with me and drive. But it is informative, and I think Councillor Bilsma has covered that off. We'll be reporting back to the PAC committee in the near future. We aren't meeting as frequently as the multi-municipal board, so we'll probably have 2 or 3 meetings under our belt before we meet back with them. Silverdale on a more casual and closer to home issue, last Friday night was the event at the Silverdale Hall, where I want to report that civility was great, and there were more hamburgers, hot dogs, sausages,
chicken burgers,
and chicken consumed than usual. The weather held out for us, and I have to admit I opted for the pie. I went straight to the dessert, but I'm paying for that now. So Councillor Bilsma was flipping chicken, and I was watching the money at the door. So it was a great time for everyone who attended.
This one, very good. Anyone else? Mayor Joyner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to state that we received a memo from, or a letter from Mr. Sidney Thompson, who represents the West Lincoln and Glanbrook Wind Action Group, and they are having a meeting I believe it's this Thursday, May 18th, over at the school. And I am unable to go, and I've sent an email saying that to Mr. Thompson. I'm unable to attend that meeting as I have regional council, but I just wanted to bring this forward to all members of council, that there's an invitation to our upcoming and very interesting event, that their guest speaker has recently returned from attending the INCE Europe International Conference on Wind Turbine Noise. And it was held this year in Rotterdam, and he will be explaining to us the most recent science on this subject from experts gathered there from around the world. So to all members of council, if you can attend this Thursday, I know that the West Lincoln and Glanbrook Wind Action Group would very much appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Joyner. Councillor Caden.
First time with a new microphone. Hopefully that works. I am planning to attend that meeting on Thursday night. I had replied to that already. There are 2 other interesting things happening this week, and rather than wait until next week to report on them, I thought that they both have West Lincoln connections. The event tomorrow night is actually the Citizen of the Year through Grimsby, but the honorees are Barry and Linda Coots, who, as most of you who've been around for a while know, had originally had their business on South Grimsby Road 12, Erie Powder Coatings. Their son now runs that, but they are being honored for the work that they have done in Grimsby with their home, Nellis Manor, that they have given over as a living museum. The second thing that happens is Wednesday night, and the Ontario Volunteer Service Award for 30 years of service is being given to Janet Zanting, who was the original chair of West Lincoln Community Care and has continued to be in and out of that chair position, either officially or unofficially, for the past 30 years, most of her adult life, in fact. And so the committee put forward her nomination, and she is receiving an award on Wednesday evening. So,
Thank you, Councilor Keenan. Next item is item A5317. Kind of covered off on a lot of it, but members of committees, other business items are in the form of nature. Anybody else? Councilor Bilsma?
I just wanted to ask a quick question, and it has to do with the wind turbine community fund. We were told that we would be receiving monies in April. We had all the letter intent and stuff like that, so I want to confirm that that did in fact come in.
Through you, Chairman Bell, Councillor Balsma. Yes, the money for the road use agreement, that portion has been received. The portion for the community fund, we have sent them an invoice because they want an invoice, I guess, for their records. So they're in receipt of the invoice, and we should be getting the funds. So that, and this is the portion for 2016 that they'll be giving us.
Okay.
Mayor Joyner, second.
Thank you. I just wanted to inform council today that earlier this morning I was at the Smithville CIBC to cut the cake for the CIBC's 150th anniversary. So all week long they will be having a cake and giving away small pieces of swag, I guess, that say CIBC on it. It's a very interesting story. The CIBC originated in Halifax 150 years ago, and I won't go into the story, but it is very interesting. Just wanted to say congratulations to them. I know that they've had a couple of issues in the last 6 months. They've unfortunately been robbed, so we're going to look after, try and look after that as far as getting some more police and reduce some of the wait times for police to show up at the scene. But beyond that, they are to be commended. They have done an excellent job. I know that there's a couple of employees in the actual Smithville branch that have been there over 30 years in one branch, so that's pretty impressive. If you get a chance, go in and say hi. The manager is Mr. James Gunn, and he would be happy to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Joyner. Anyone else? Comments? No? Good. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 11, new business. I'm not aware of any new business at this time. No. Councilor Chichuk?
Yes, I have an item of new business that I'd like to bring forward.
Only if the item requires immediate attention
It
and
does.
direction.
It does.
Okay.
I need a move. I will move an item of new business.
Need a mover and a seconder?
I need a seconder for that item.
Councilor
The item that
Cadan.
I would like to talk about is communications between council and staff.
Sorry, Councilor Chichuk.
No. It was my item of new business regarding communications between council and staff.
Okay, Councilor Chichuk.
Thank you. It is.
Okay, so,
Introduce a new item being communication.
great.
We were in a second, we just have to vote on that.
Okay, all those in favor? Passed.
Thank you. We recently got a memo regarding the way and method that communications happen between council and staff. And that will alter what it is that has happened in the past. Listen, I'm not looking for special attention, special consideration, but I do think that this is a matter that needs to be discussed further. In that, I think we need to set some parameters on understanding when and what is going to be given to councillors and what kind of attention matters are going to, what is going to come to us via phone call, via an email, an attempt to get us somewhere other than our West Lincoln email, given that most of us don't have access. In fact, all but one probably have no access to it, but at home in the evening. And I would like to see that this item is brought back for discussion. I'm not asking for it tonight because I think all of us have probably got our take on it. I'm not looking to get emails. I'm looking to have communications periodically between council and staff on in means that had been utilized in the past up until very recently. So I find that we are currently, we've gotten a memo that says that we're going to change the way we've done things. It's going to be more in keeping with the way of the past. I am not really looking for, I'm looking for council comments on the fact that this is an item that needs to be reviewed and more thoroughly for the needs of council. And I'm not looking for special privilege. I'm not looking for extraordinary efforts, but I do think that we need to become of one mind on this council and staff to support us and to understand where we can improve as well as where we can serve each other in a way that gives council what they need as well as minimizes any kind of problems. So there might be some training that needs to get done. There might be some ways that we can mitigate some of the void between when we hear things. I'll give you a perfect example. If there was a disaster in town and I was coming back, I'd really like to know it. And I don't think that might be considered extraordinary. But I think we need to talk about some of those things because I think we kind of whitewash, we mean broad brush, pardon me, the things that we're doing. So for that reason, I'm suggesting that this is an item that might actually build consensus, might build fellowship, and might have us all understand the needs of each of us. So it just is something that I would like to have dealt with in a way that gets it back in front of us relatively expeditiously so that we're not perhaps throwing the baby out with the dishwater.
Thank you, Councilor Chichek. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hear what Councilor Chichek is stating, but when there is an emergency or there's something that's happening in the town, it's emailed immediately through, and I do get it on my smartphone. I've been to Roberta, and the email, the township website comes to our smartphone, which I know other members of council have it attached to their smartphone as well. I know the mayor does, and I know Councilor Bylsma does, because he does respond, and it shows on the phone, sent from Apple or whatever it's sent from other phones. So members of council do have it attached to their smartphone to get emails and correspondence quickly. I think we are in an age with advanced technology, and I think that I don't know how much more advanced we can be than it's attached to our hips of our smartphones. So I'm kind of confused on
a rebuttal to that. That is exactly my point, because it would appear that if we can have it on our phones, that's fine.
Councilor Chichek, can you let Councilor Trombetta finish first, please? He didn't interrupt you.
That's thank you, Mr. Chair. But yeah, when I wanted it on my phone, I came in and I said I asked Roberta Keith to access to make sure that she puts the township email on my smartphone, and she readily did it. So again, like I said, when the fire chief has an emergency fire and there's something, it was sent to the phone immediately, and then it goes throughout the whole township. So maybe it's just something that IT needs to maybe come in for more members of council. But other than that, I don't think how much more advanced we can get. So I'm pretty much through there, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Bell, that is exactly, Mr. Chair, what it is that I'm talking about is that there doesn't seem to be a consistency. And my concern was that it would, the email would prevent our having our town email on our smartphones. So it hasn't been set up. I do have a smartphone. We probably should have that discussion with all members of council so that we all are advantaged to the same degree. And I may be one of the few that didn't know that I could have a phone. So I will arrange for that, and that will probably satisfy my needs because it will mean I'll get my emails wherever I am. So if that's there, it's just an example of what it is I was looking for, that we all get brought up to speed to know that emails are available and that they're going to be sent to all of us, and agendas are electronic. We get a stick and we read it on our surface. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Chichak. Mayor Joyner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask the CEO a question, if I could. Mr. CAO, are we changing policy, procedure, and protocol, or are we adhering to the policy, procedure, and protocol that was set out in year one, first month of the term of this council, Mr. CAO?
Mr. Chair, through the members of council, nothing is changing. This is the policy and procedures set out by the corporation. It was part of our orientation manual that was submitted to all members of council. And this is consistent communication that staff is trying to provide to council to ensure that everyone is well communicated, documented, and transparency is evident. And this is also going to assist our current administrative staff and future administration staff that try to assist council and go beyond the call of duty every time to assist members of council. I said this earlier, we have a great team here. We try to communicate as much as we can, but unfortunately, we're now back to treating the situation as everyone being equal. And that is the only way that administration can ensure that everyone is receiving the proper documentation at the same time and everyone is being consistent in terms of how we relay that information to all members of council. I've said from day one, and everyone knows Roberta is available 24/7. We have financial means to purchase computers, phones, additional towers on our houses if we need a boost. I know there's another council that has asked me for that service as well. We've accommodated that service. As I said, we go beyond the call of duty. That memo that was sent out was strictly a message saying everyone is going to be treated equally, the same time, same place, same manner, so that there is no miscommunication in terms of how staff is communicating to the public and to council collectively. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I want to say thank you to the CAO for just reiterating that. Although it's a nice sentiment put forward by Councillor Chichak, I will not be voting in forward of any more further training. Thank you.
Any more questions, comments? Okay, I have one if I could be entertained for a moment. Some of it's been said already by council members. My comment is very simply, when I was elected and we had our first meeting, all this communication stuff was brought forward. At a later date, we were presented with these surfaces. We were set up with email accounts, phone accounts. If I wanted it on my phone, I was able to have it, which I do have. It's the way we communicate each and every day. We did move away slightly from it. One of the councilors was unable to work with the computer system at that time. He's been offered training. We're going back to what was originally set forth, and it's a great system. Sad to hear that some of the councilors don't realize that we can have this stuff on our phones and stuff, but I'm sure that we can accommodate everybody now. It was offered in the letter. If we need more IT training, we just need to ask for it. So moving forward, maybe we can just send that email out one more time to everybody. If we could, please. CEO.
Mr. Chair, through the members of council, I've also asked Roberta, our IT specialist, to also look at what type of communication we need to look at. So in terms of phones, what type of phones does everyone have? Maybe there's a type of phone that everyone can be consistent on, whether it's a BlackBerry, a Samsung, whatever it might be, and we can implement those into our daily operations so that everyone is consistent with how we communicate through our smartphones. Again, these are just little things that we need to implement internally, where we can have that dialogue, because everyone has different types of phones and different types of software that's operated. However, the options are available, and I know IT is looking into that. However, that shouldn't stop us from our day-to-day communication equally. Thank you.
Mayor Joyner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to ask the CAO, is he suggesting that I give up my government-issued BlackBerry?
Okay. Is there any more questions, comments? Okay. Okay, seeing none at this time, I'm now going to call a recess, and we're going to move into the Public Works and Recreation Committee agenda. And at the end of that meeting, we will return back to the Administrative Finance for close. Thank you.